Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. I'm Mario Zabak out of the GMS Dallas camp. And through the Spirit, I want to touch on, after the destruction, when Yahweh shall return and Babylon the Great is destroyed. Salaki. And Babylon the Great is destroyed for the heathen nations, starting with Esau, Edom, the top bankers, the elites, the Rothschilds, and so forth, the noble ones, the kings that call themselves hiding in the rocks and dens. And today they're called bunkers. Trump, Elon Musk, all those Edomites, okay? They're going to be employed, and we're going to go over that, So let's go ahead and, get that, because most people were told, growing up before you came into this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, this truth, before you knew you was a Hebrew Israelite, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we were told that, when the world, when quote unquote, that anti-Christ Jesus man, when he come back, he's gonna, it's gonna be a rapture, and then it's gonna be a 7-year trial tribulation, and then, the world was just gonna end, and we was gonna be in the sky floating somewhere. And that's far from the truth. And we're going to go into it. And that's what this lesson is covering. Really don't know what I'm going to name it yet. But I might name it what happens, after, what's the first thing that's going to happen to the heathens, once the New Jerusalem, come down from heaven. All right. And that's probably what I'll name it. So let's just get into it. This is Isaiah, the 34th chapter in verse 3. All right. That's what we're going to get into. Isaiah 34th chapter, verse 3. All right. And it reads, "Their slain also shall be cast out. Their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood." All right. So to kind of give a, little back end on what's going on here, this is, the Heavenly Father judging, the heathens, okay, for what they done to the nation of Israel, all right? And this is going into what's going to happen after the destruction, the nuclear missiles, once all of that clears, and the destruction is, the earth shaking to and fro, what's going to happen, after, the aftermath. All right. So this is what this is going into. Verse 3 again. "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come out of their carcasses." All right. So let's go to Ezekiel, the 39th chapter. All right. This is Ezekiel 39. And we're going to start from verse 11. Okay. And it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto God a place thereof graves in Israel, the valley of passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude." And this is going into Russia, "And they shall call it the valley of Hamongog." All right. This is over there in Russia. Verse 12. And it reads, let me go ahead and make sure I didn't pass it up. All right. In verse 12, and it reads, "In 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them that may cleanse the land." Now, Israel physically is not going to be, burying anyone, because this is after the destruction. Okay, so right now, all the kings, the kingdoms of this earth right now currently, and I'm talking about all the other nations like China, the Moabites, the Ishmaelites, the Edomites, chiefly, um, the Hamites, Ammonites, all of the nations, Elamites, all of these other nations, are these passengers, okay? And Israel, we're going to be in the new covenant, meaning that we're going to be in our righteous bodies, our godly bodies, okay? The immortal bodies, all right? So that's what this is going into and talking about. And you're going to get the information as we continue to read on, all right? And let's go back to verse 11 again. And it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto God a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers." And that's going into, again, let me get both the chapters so I can go back and forth. Let me get Isaiah. All right, Isaiah the 34th chapter, so you can see what's going on here. All right, Isaiah 34:3. All right, so, and it reads, Isaiah 34:3, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come out of their carcasses." All right, and we're going to go right back to Ezekiel 39:11, and this is what's happening. These passengers here is fulfilling that verse that we just read in Isaiah 34:3. So let's read Isaiah 39:11 again. And it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto God a place thereof graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers." Why? Because their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come out of their carcasses. You see? All right. "And the blood of the mountains shall be melted in their blood." And what is that going into? That's going into the aftermath of the nuclear destruction, because you have bodies from the explosions, rocks falling on them, metal, bodies being exploded into the, in the trees or whatnot. Again, the mountains, that's rock. So you're going to, blood spilled all over. So just bodies all over the place, body parts, Okay. So that's giving you a little graphic imagination of what you're seeing right there. Okay. All right. And it reads, carrying on in verse 11, "And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hamon-Gog." In verse 12, and it reads, "In 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land." All right. And this is beginning with the Esau and the other nations. So, during them 7 months. All right. Verse 14. Is it verse 13? Salakia. Verse 13. "Yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and there shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, said Yahweh thy power." So what's going on here when it's saying everybody, is talking about all the nations, all right? Because the Israelites, we in power at this time. This is the chosen and elect, the government body, okay? Starting with the elect, with Yahweh, the throne of David, the 12 tribes of Israel, and 144,000 in a great multitude, okay? And it reads in verse 14, "And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it after the end of 7 months shall they search. Okay. All right. So this is the slave's occupation here. Okay. And this is what's going on. This is their employment. And when you go into that word employment, it goes into occupation. And that word occupation. Matter of fact, let's get it. So, I'm not just rambling here. We'll get that. Let's get that in the etymology. Here we go. Let's get that word occupation. Or better yet, let's start from employment. All right. Employment. All right, here we go. All right. So when you look at the word employment, it says, the spending of money, but then it goes down and tells you a person's regular occupation or business. So when you go into that word occupation, because I went into it, that word occupation, the first thing it says, the fact of holding or possessing. So what does it say in Isaiah? What this is going into? Because Isaiah, the 14th chapter, is going into it. Verse 2. And the people, are the Israelites, shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them. See that word possess. And that's the same word that we're reading in Ezekiel 39, 14 for that word employment. But right here it says, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. Those are slaves. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. Okay? So there's the precept to that. All right? So let's go back to Isaiah 34 in this one. I believe this is where we were. All right. Verse 3. Okay. So we're going to read that. We're going to read that again. I think I was in Ezekiel on this one. All right. So lock you on that. Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 11. All right. 14. And again, we're going to read it. And they shall sever out men of employment. Who is the they? The they are the Israelites. Okay. So we're going to be employing all of these heathen nations because they're going to be in captivity, that's passing through the land, and their first job is to passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And listen to what's going to happen. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any see a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it. So that's what's going to be happening. They're going to be picking up dead bodies till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon-Gog. You see? What's verse 16? And also the name of the city shall be called Hamona. Thus shall they cleanse the land. And this is going to be the first job for the heathens, and mainly for the top banker families, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay? So, let me see if there's any more on that. All right. Yeah, let's go to Ecclesiastes. I want to bring this point out too, because I started out saying that, Christianity and these other false doctrines believe that the world is just going to end. And that's not true. So we're going to go ahead and grab Ecclesiastes 1 and 4. And it reads, one generation passeth away and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Okay. So the earth is not going to be blown up, and I'm burning somewhere, and you're going to have some spirits in the air looking and crying that the earth is on fire and burning up. And, and that's the end of earth. So that's false. Okay. That's a false doctrine. All right. And that's all that's how I'm going to end this. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. Shalom.